I'm here with Chander, who is the CEO of Zmanda.
Hi, Barton.
So tell us a little bit, you just got finished speaking. Tell us a little bit about what Zmanda does.
So Zmanda is in the business of backup software. So we provide radically simple to use, radically cost effective backup software. And we do that in two different ways. We do that one by leveraging the cloud. Cloud is a great alternative today for backup purposes, and we'll go in details in a second. And second is by leveraging open source. So open source is the ultimate commoditizer of software, and we are bringing all the benefits of open source to backup.
And I think you mentioned before this originally came from somebody's graduate project, or?
No, not from graduate project, but from a project that was done at the University of Maryland. So
Okay.
the originally company is built around a very vibrant project called Amanda, and that's where the name Zmanda comes from as well. Amanda is world's most popular open source backup project, which was initially developed at University of Maryland, but it has been in open domain since 1991. So in fact, it predates things like Linux even. And lots of people, we conservatively estimate somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million systems worldwide being protected by the Amanda project. And we took a lot of that knowledge and applied it to cloud backup recently.
And I think it was an interesting story how you sort of stumbled on, had the light bulb that went off. What were you doing before Zmanda that you said, oh wow, this could really be a great thing?
Right. So before Zmanda, I was running an IT service provider here in the Bay Area, and one of the services that we would offer is backup. And folks will ask us for backup service. We will give them a quote from Symantec, we'll give them a quote from EMC, and we will tell them, hey, here is this open source project called Amanda. No licensing fee, but we will charge consulting fee. And every single time, customer went with this third option because economies were just staggeringly in that favor. And then we saw for several years that customers were able to back up and recover their files successfully. And at the same time, I saw businesses like Red Hat and MySQL building worldwide franchise business around open source. So we created Zmanda around the Amanda project to really bring the benefits of open source backup to customers worldwide.
Okay. Well, now getting back to the cloud, how do you work with S3? I think the Amazon storage is probably the one that most people have heard of if they've heard of storage in the cloud.
Right. So one of the biggest issues with backup tends to be managing secondary and tertiary storage, and typically that has been done with the tapes and tape drives. And if you talk to any IT administrator, they will tell you managing tapes and tape drives is a huge cost and pain. So
And just to define the secondary and tertiary, is there a time a period, in other words, something you'd access maybe once in 6 months as secondary, and every 5 years would be tertiary?
something along those lines. Basically, something which is not being consumed on a day-to-day basis would be something like secondary or tertiary. So something that you're accessing on your day-to-day Word application or database application, that will be primary storage. Everything else will be secondary or tertiary.
Okay.
Tertiary storage is typically off-site. Secondary storage could be off-site or on-site. So having this kind of storage sitting on tape drives tends to come with cost and pain. So while we do support tape drives as well, we thought of storage cloud as an excellent alternative to the tape drives. So we are enabling customers to leverage storage based on cloud as an alternative to writing to tape and shipping tapes offsite.
Right. So do people actually, I was hearing that, but as the first step, they have to actually ship the tape to Amazon to.
That is something that they could do. I mean, if they have a huge amount of data that cannot be shipped on the wire, they could seed the data used by shipping a disk drive or something like that. But most of our customers today actually ship the entire data over the wire, over their uplink.
Now, is cloud storage, is that one of the cloud applications that people are using first? Is that often someone's first entry into the cloud?
In fact, that is true. In fact, if you have seen how Amazon has come to the market and even how Sun has talked about their entree into the cloud market, cloud vendors first put out a storage cloud and then put out a compute cloud. And I think the reasons are both technology as well as business side. And on the technology side, it's relatively easier to put together a storage cloud. But more importantly, on the business side, it is relatively easier to figure out how to bill on the storage front rather than on the compute front, because storage cloud vendors bill on a per gigabyte basis, which is much more cleaner than per CPU cycle basis, which is what happens on the compute cloud.
Okay. So now, what do you see some of the trends going forward with the compute cloud? What can we look forward to?
So some of the things that were going to happen is, there is going to be pretty much some sort of a clash of cultures coming up where, we have this culture which is built around on-premise infrastructure. Millions of dollars are spent on data centers which are on-premise. CIOs are going to look for cost benefits and business benefits of potentially moving some of the compute and storage to a cloud. So there is going to be an interesting interesting sort of discussion within many organizations on what is the balance between on-premise versus cloud. So I think on the business front, that is something that is coming up. On the technology front, there are a lot of exciting things happening. I think some of the new things that are happening on the WAN front, on the WAN optimization front, and decrease in cost and increase in bandwidth are going to be super exciting from moving to the cloud perspective. As soon as bandwidth becomes next level available and next level cheaper, you will see more and more IT managers moving their data to the cloud.
And then lastly, are there any customers that you can talk about either by name or by, a large bank and blah, 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 that you can talk about?
Sure. So we have, for example, a publisher who has lots of data that they are accumulating on a pretty much on a daily basis, and they were sick and tired of figuring out their secondary storage needs. What they had to do was every 6 months roll in an upgraded version of a tape library, and it was very hard for them to figure out what is the right capacity and provisioning that they need. And now by moving to an elastic cloud, they basically don't have this problem anymore. The cloud provisions as much data as they need or dials down if they don't need it, and their cost comes down accordingly. So this is an excellent example of a kind of customer who can leverage storage cloud today for their secondary and tertiary storage needs.
Excellent. Well, Chander Kant, thank you so much for taking the time.
As always, Barton, pleasure talking to you.